You're doing such a good job, Bailey.
Did you see him smile?
Aww. Okay, good morning everyone. Where's my machine? There's my machine. I'm trying to figure out how to, like, everything I need to say in this video, but basically we are having feeding issues with little Luke. We've had struggles for sure with our other kids, but never anything like this. I gave birth to him and they usually put the baby on you and you like start trying to nurse right away. And right away I could tell something was wrong. Like I was like, he's not rooting, he's just kind of like doing a chew thing, like, but not even trying. Like it was, any like attempt at me putting myself on him was like very forced, and it seemed different right away. They were looking at his mouth, and his mouth structure just physically isn't ideal for nursing. He has a higher palate, and his everything was really tight. So he had a tongue tie, he had a lip tie. His cheeks were actually very too tight. And he's gonna be a week old tomorrow. And I wanted to make this video in part for other people out there who are in the same place that I've been in for the last week, because it's been really hard. Oh my gosh, my baby just pooped so hard. Did you hear that? Gotta go deal with that. Part of the reason why I wanna make this video is because this is my 5th baby. This is my 5th child that I'm nursing and trying to breastfeed. And I just can't imagine this being my first one. And assuming all babies are like that, and that for whatever reason, like feeling like a failure, because the one thing I know is that I know how to do this. And I know that if the baby's functions were typical, that we'd be doing it. And if the baby's like structures were typical, it would be happening. So I feel like I really don't blame myself, but I could totally see being a new mom, being a mom in this position and who's never nursed, and just taking on so much guilt and blame and worry. And I'm taking on a lot emotionally, but I'm grateful that I'm not taking that on. And I just want to put this out there for those people who are in this position right now, who are struggling with nursing for similar reasons. Because nursing is, it can be a huge struggle, and then when you figure it out, it's like, it's such an awesome blessing, and it's so cool. And it's like, to me, what I'm struggling with, potentially missing out on right now, is just the ability to like soothe my baby easily, which is something I've always relied on. I've just always been the mom who's like, oh, the baby's upset, pop out the business, like, let's go, let's nurse away. Basically what we're doing is 15 to 20 minutes of breastfeeding on each side. By that I mean the baby being near me, skin to skin contact. He does not actually feed at all, but like being there and just trying to encourage him. Sometimes it's a lot of crying. That's not the goal. The goal is for him to be calm and for it to be like a happy place. But sometimes it means that there's like a lot of crying and me trying to calm him or burp him and just like trying to make him okay. Sometimes it's like me just like, I think of that song, Everybody Needs a Bosom for a Pillow. It's kind of like that. I then pump with my fancy rented hospital pump for 20 minutes. Sometimes while I'm pumping, Christopher will bottle feed, and we're doing this thing called paced bottle feeding. And we weren't doing that at first, and it's PACED, bottle feeding. Instead of like holding a bottle back into your newborn and like letting them just be fed, you're making them more active and simulating more of a breastfed baby experience. You're holding the bottle in a different way, and the baby has to come for it, and the baby has to be actively sucking, and if not, you're kind of pulling the bottle down and away. I think that's really been helpful. Initially, we couldn't have done that because the goal was feed the baby, get the baby nutrients. But now that we're at this place, I feel like I see how it could lead to breastfeeding, and I'm like glad we're doing that. But all of that takes significantly longer than how you would normally feed a newborn. How you normally feed a newborn is already exhausting as it is. So, and you do that every few hours. We're kind of doubling the nursing time by having me do the feeding on each side and then pumping. I mean, the whole thing takes about an hour and a half. You know, then you're including burping and like baby kind of falling asleep and having to kind of nudge the baby awake and all that. Like it takes about an hour and a half from start to finish. And then you go from the start of that to the next feed. and you don't sleep, basically, is what that looks like. Oh, and then Christopher's like heavily involved. And he was saying the other day, like, he's so used to the time when I'm nursing the baby, when we've had other babies, that kind of being like his time to either like help clean something up or get some work done or get some rest. And instead, he's like 100% involved in the whole process. Like, he'll turn my machine on for me, and he's like rinsing out the pumps and like getting everything ready. And then he does a lot of the like bottle feeding, which he actually loves. He was saying the other day, if anything like that he's like grateful for is just the experience of being able to feed him more, because he's never had that with the other kids. So like, he's just really grateful. Not only is it like mentally and actually exhausting, but emotionally it's been really difficult for me. And it's been something that I've been like, you know, I'm like normal and just like living my life, and then I'll just start crying, or I just think about all of the breastfeeding experiences that I've had with my other kids, and I just start like crying. That's been happening, and it happens around the kids, and I'm like, yep, you know, like I just get really sad sometimes because I'm worried that this isn't gonna work. And I really do enjoy nursing my kids. I feel like really, really supported by some of the best lactation consultants probably in the world, because they just blew me away. They were so amazing. I do trust them. I did have one meltdown in the hospital where I just, like, I was handling it all really well. And then it just got to a point where we had done the formula, and then I pumped, and that pumping session didn't get anything. Like, it was like nothing. It was less than I'd been pumping, and I totally freaked out. And I was like, see, this is what happens. Like, I can't pump. So now, because we've introduced the bottle, like, I'm not gonna be able to pump enough. And I just got really scared. And then the next pumping session was like twice anything that I'd ever done. So like, you know, I'm seeing so many things saying like, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I'm used to it being a sprint. I'm used to a baby just latching right away. We've definitely had problems. We've had an issue with tongue tie. We've had things where I've had to change my diet, but I've never had this experience where it's just very much like the baby's not latching at all and doesn't seem to like even have that, I guess, instinct, motivation, like have that in him. That's been very different and scary to me because it's new. And now it's been a very odd week where I'm just not able to soothe my baby and be there for my baby when he's crying and he's upset, which he also has like colic right now, where we have these periods at night where there are 3 or 4 hours where he's just screaming and hysterical, and my everything in me is nurse this baby, because that's what I've always done. And it's not possible. He doesn't want anything to do with that. And that's been really hard. But I will say, today, I think we had our biggest breakthrough with it. So we've been working with something called a nipple shield. It looks like this. That goes over my nipple. And we take a syringe of pumped breast milk and squirt it into the little holes in that nipple. And that makes it really easy for him. So when I approach him with this nipple shield, he first of all thinks it's a bottle. That's what we're trying to do. It's like giving him something that's like longer and kind of bodily. He will latch onto that and then realize that there's something in there that's like easy. And then that flows out, like he basically doesn't even have to suck. And then he'll latch on and start sucking. So far, he's pretty much just been like in it for that initial treat. But this morning, he latched onto the nipple shield and then stayed and lasted for like 5 to 10 minutes. It wasn't very aggressive. He was born at 38 weeks, which is fine. It's like an early term baby. I don't know exactly why he's responding like this about food. I don't know if it's just because of his anatomy, or if it's partially because of the fine motor stuff having to do with the cerebellum, or if it's because he's 38 weeks. All of those things could play a part. I don't know. Of course, I'm the mom, and I'm just like in my head all the time trying to think like, what could it be? What could it be? Basically, we don't know. I feel like today was the first time that I really felt progress. Part of me is still a little disappointed because it was with the shield and not with just me, and that's what I really want. But at the same time, like, again, like, it's that repeating of it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like, I have to keep saying that to myself because it's not how I'm used to functioning in this stage, especially. It's like I just want it to work. My instinct is to like rush things. Anyway, this moment worked, and I was so grateful and so happy. And he nursed for like at least 5 to 10 minutes with that shield. And it's been almost a week of us trying and try, like the trying in this is so hard. But one great thing is that my favorite lactation consultant from the hospital does home visits. So we're paying for her to come today and work with us some more, and we'll show her what we have accomplished, hopefully get some more tips. She's the one that told us to do the paced bottle feeding, and we've been doing that now for like over 24 hours. It's working, it's going well. I really wanted to share this as a journey because I see so many like alarmist articles about like using bottles or trying a pacifier, and all of those things were necessities for us for training the baby to eat. And I'm really hopeful that we end up with a great happy ending to all of this, even though it's been really hard, to encourage and motivate people, or even just like, this is our story and this is how we got to where we get later, however that turns out.
Our lactation consultant just came and worked with us for a long time. She's so great. She did such a great job explaining things to us and really helped us out with new methods of supplemental feeding. So she gave us this thing that goes on Jessica's shoulder. It has a little tube that goes down, and Luke can eat from Jessica but be getting like a little extra supplement of her pre-expressed breast milk. So that's really cool. Hopefully that'll help him breastfeed better, and eventually he won't need that is the hope, and we can start weaning him off the bottles as well. And she told us we could feed him more, which is cool because I feel like it might fill his tummy a little bit more, which might be part of the reason he was grumpy at night. Maybe he was kind of hungry and just needed some more food, and so it'll be nice now that his tummy will be a little fuller between each feeding and maybe get a little extra rest that way. And he's not gaining as much weight as we would like to see. He's actually lost some weight, so giving him that extra breast milk is really going to help him out with that. While she was here, she also said that since his weight was going down and he looked a little jaundiced, that we needed to get him to see his pediatrician right away. We called him and he is going to see him in the next like few minutes here. So Jessica has a few minutes to pump real quick. We'll put that in a bottle, put it in the diaper bag, take the baby, and go to the pediatrician.
So the doctor's appointment went well. Luke is still the same weight as he was last time at this doctor's appointment, so he's still not gaining, but at least on the doctor's scale, it's not any less. He has looked very jaundiced pretty much since leaving the hospital, and that's normal. Like, our kids always get like a little bit of jaundice. Bailey had it very bad early on and ended up in the NICU for it. The other kids just always had it, but could recover from it on their own. So the big thing today was to test him for that jaundice. We should be getting the results in like an hour or two. Sorry, he's making little squeaks in the back. Worst case scenario, we could end up back at the hospital with him. Best case, the numbers are low enough, it's not a big deal, but the doctor did say, like, just from how he looks, he's thinking they're at least pretty high, but not necessarily like needing intervention, but pretty close. There's also a chance that we could get lights that we use at home. I think that would be our ideal. Obviously, if we need to go back to the hospital, like, we need to do that. We'd like to be at home if it is something we could manage at home. So we're working on seeing where the levels are at, and we'll find out in a couple hours. As stressful and crazy as today has been, we have one very exciting silver lining, and that is that we have some awesome family people here to visit for the very first time. Oh, she's so little.
I feel like he's half the size of what Flynn was.
He kind of, almost.
I'm just trying to get him
Yeah,
some
get
sunshine.
your little sunlight, Mr. Jaundice face.
Get some sunshine. Jaundice is so heavily in this family, like
know.
every single one of us.
Always.
Flynn had it too. Everyone's
I had really bad jaundice.
Yeah, you did. I did too. I had to sleep under a light for days and days and days.
How many days did I have to sleep under a light?
You were in the hospital for a few days.
All right, I wanted to show you guys this as much as I can because I'd never seen it before and I think it's pretty cool. This is how we're supplementing the expressed breast milk to the baby while he's learning to suck. So here we go. So this is Jessica, and this is milk that she pumped earlier, and it goes through this tube here, which you can clamp off. This little tiny tube. And it drips through here, and then as the baby's eating, it goes through into his mouth, and he gets a little bit extra without having to work as hard. So as he's learning to use the muscles in his mouth to express the milk, he's getting rewarded by milk at the same time.
And also possibly making it so that we don't use a bottle with him.
You're such a good mommy.
I know that was really fast, but family time was great. We had an amazing, wonderful, giant family meal. Colleen and Eric cooked. And they made like salmon and vegetables and a bunch of things that I can eat because I don't think I've mentioned it, but one of the other things I'm doing is I've gotten off dairy, and the baby's also doing things like Mylicon drops and a bunch of things for like colic because he's having these long periods where he cries at night. So we're trying to help him there and help his tummy feel a little bit better. But they made this amazing feast and it was so great and it was so nourishing. So I'm really grateful for that. And just the time together as a family was really nourishing, I think, for our hearts, and just like what we needed. It was really great, and it was really sweet seeing Flynn and Duncan together because they're just like such a great age to be buddies now, so they did great. We heard back from our pediatrician and the jaundice levels are high at 19, but he's also hopeful that if we just feed him a ton tonight, that hopefully, since he's 6 days old, the jaundice levels should be at their peak. So he's hoping that by tomorrow morning, he'll start seeing them going down. So we're gonna go back in first thing at 8 a.m. to our pediatrician, and we're gonna see if those jaundice levels are coming down or if they're actually like going up or something. And we're gonna make decisions from there. Our doctor's trying to get us bilirubin lights for jaundice. I know probably a bunch of people don't know what jaundice is, but it's about his liver functioning correctly or not, and it's really common in newborn babies to have jaundice issues. It's just you don't want it to get too bad. So that's what we're doing, is we're making sure that it goes in the improving direction and not in the other way. Hopefully we'll get some lights for at-home use, and hopefully he won't need anything like hospitalization, which is like something they're kind of like talking about. It's seeming right now like we're avoiding that. And now my big job is just to feed the baby tonight. So I'll be pumping up a storm. Pump it up, pump it. That's the song I used to sing, bump it up, when I'd show my baby bump. Now I'm saying pump it up. So anyway, sorry I'm a little delirious.
We're at the hospital now, and little baby Luke is inside of this little box here. It's really warm inside, and they have these special lights. So there's a light here and a light up here, and it's really bright, so they put these glasses on him